is a live presentation of CBC Sports. It is November 25th, Grey Cup Day, a time of Canadian celebration.
His play is not pretty, but Tom Burgess gets the job done. And the swarming Winnipeg defense, the best in the CFL, puts the Bombers in position to take a direct route to a national title. The elusive and dangerous Tracy Ham and the rugged Edmonton Eskimos will enjoy perfect conditions today under the dome, looking to begin the 90s like the previous decade with another Edmonton dynasty.
The great ambition tour is here.
There you go.
1990, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers are here. We have arrived.
Oh, man. No, don't do that. I'm doing this for real.
Today, as we look live at BC Place in downtown Vancouver, CBC Sports is proud to continue coverage of a Canadian tradition. The high shot from inside BC Place Stadium in Vancouver. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Brian Williams. Welcome to Vancouver and CBC's coverage of the 1990 Grey Cup. During the next hour and a half, we will take a look at the pluses and minuses of this 1990 season. We'll talk live with CFL Commissioner Don Crump, Cal Murphy, the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Harry Orness, the owner of the Toronto Argonauts. Argonauts could possibly be for sale. We'll also talk with Wayne Parrish. We have a phone poll about instant replay, and we'll take you live to Winnipeg. Don't forget the game is in Winnipeg next year. Scott Oak, you're from Winnipeg. We'll be checking on the weather in your city, but right now, as our regular host, I know you're here to talk football.
Brian's very cold in Winnipeg today, I understand, but we'll update you on that later. I'm looking forward on today's telecast to working with our game day analysts. Argo linebacker Don Moan, Saskatchewan quarterback Kent Austin will join me throughout the telecast of the game and, of course, throughout Countdown. It may well be that no one is more qualified to talk about matchups like the Bomber defense versus the Eskimo offense than Moan and Austin, who have faced them both. And I think that is the key matchup in this game. Twice in the regular schedule, the Bombers stopped Tracy Ham cold. They must do it today with the Grey Cup on the line. Also looking forward to being on the sidelines today to be as close to the Grey Cup action as possible, as I'm sure is Steve Armitage. Steve?
That I am, Scott. Thank you very much. You know, one of the keys to this game, as I see it, will be the...
Don Whitman and Ron Lancaster. The formal highlight of the week, the Player Awards, was Thursday night. This is an event with a great tradition in Canadian football for many years, the Shenley Awards. But right now, let's take you back. There's a new era for the Player Awards. This was Thursday. In the battle of the big men for outstanding offensive lineman, Winnipeg's Chris Walby, and the hometown favorite, offensive tackle Jim Mills of the BC Lions, representing the Western Division. This time, the West is best. Jim Mills, a narrow victory. For the second year in a row, Greg Battle of Winnipeg, the Eastern nominee, is top defensive player, while Stuart Hill, missing the Grey Cup due to injury, is a finalist for the second time. He was a rookie runner-up in '84. And Greg Battle, a runner-up 1 year ago, wins top honors in 1990. A pair of great rookie running backs are rookie nominees. Reggie Barnes topped 1,200 yards for the Ottawa Roughriders. And from Saskatchewan, Lucius Floyd accounted for 73 receptions, 5 touchdowns. Ottawa, though, gets the nod. Reggie Barnes is Rookie of the Year. For most outstanding Canadian, Hamilton's reliable Paul Osbaldiston. And from the West, the 1988 winner of this award, Saskatchewan receiver Ray Elgard. The 1990 award goes to the Western Riders, Ray Elgard. Mike Clemens, the Argos pinball, bounced his way to 3,300 yards of total offense. He is total excitement. Edmonton's Craig Ellis snared 106 catches, 17 touchdowns. And the winner, From the East was the pinball, Mike Clemens. There you have it, your 1990 Player Award winners. You know, there's been a lot of talk about the lack of intensity, lack of spirit during Grey Cup week. It is no longer the Grand National Drunk. And believe me, that is a good thing. I agree the festivities are not what they used to be, but still there have been some fun times here this week.
Tracy ham, but it's gonna be ham the way we get it, because we love ham. Oh, pick a hat to a nicer guy. There we go, boys! There we go! All right,
Stay with us. Up next, a very special look at last year's Grey Cup in Toronto, a classic and one of the first of our 5 head-to-head series with Ron Lancaster as we continue live from BC.
I tell you what, I ate chicken. I changed my diet in college for a homecoming game, and I ate chicken that morning, and I had 3 catches for 190-something yards and 3 touchdowns. So I figured I'd eat chicken for the rest of my time.
Makes sense to me. And speaking of Tony Champion, his disputed catch in last year's Grey Cup game will be the subject of our phone poll coming up. You will be involved should there be instant replays in the CFL. Now, speaking of last year's Grey Cup, you know, the last 3 Grey Cup games have been decided by a total of only 6 points. Last year's game between the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Hamilton Ticats, no question a classic, and with a special look back, here is Steve Armitage with Showdown at the Skydome.
It was a clash beyond the realms of excitement, a testimony to the struggles within, superseding expectations. Momentum was with each team, but played no favorites. In the end, the day would belong to the West, just as it had 23 years earlier, with Ron Lancaster in control.
Lancaster, for Campbell, touchdown!
Mike Kerrigan, Grey Cup hero in '86, displayed leadership once again. But the resistance mounted. The green tide rose up. The Ticat advantage buried under. Meanwhile, Kent Austin took command for the Roughies. 3 times he rallied Saskatchewan from 12-point deficits with strikes to Ray Elgard, to James Ellingson, pointing the way, keeping the Rough Riders in contention. Some go beyond the call of duty. Tony Champion, Hamilton game breaker, the player Saskatchewan had to stop, paying the price, compliments of Harry Skipper. Down, but not out. Broken ribs, but not spirit. He came back with the game of a lifetime.
48 seconds remaining. Into the end zone. Touchdown!
Exuberance momentarily suppresses pain. But the feeling wouldn't last. Only the pain.
And Mike said, well, champ, I think I'm coming to you. I said, well, all right. I said, you know, I gotta do the best I can. And I said, ribs and all. So, you know, like when he said he's coming to me, it's just like, I just forgot about the pain and excruciating. I just said, if I can get my hands on it, I can catch it.
So often, the struggle is decided by the swing of a talented thigh, the foot of football. So much pressure, so much riding on the outcome. A kicker's dream wings its way to reality.
It's up.
Already a kicking legend, Dave Ridgway celebrates the ultimate accomplishment. The men in charge live through their teams. Wins come and go for John Gregory and Al Bruno, but friendship bonds and experiencing a classic will last a lifetime.
Well, Al is a special person. I think he's a great guy, and I think he's a great coach. And throughout the years in the CFL, he and I have been good friends. And you know, I was very happy that we won the ball game. But on the other hand, their team had played such a great football game that I don't really think there was a loser. The winner was the fans of Canadian football.
I tell you, we have not seen the last of Al Bruno either in this program or in the CFL. Saskatchewan's first win since back in 1966. It is still being called the greatest Grey Cup in history, with more in that game, this time from a player's perspective. Let's go back down to the field and Scotto.
All right, Brian, was it the greatest Grey Cup game ever played? We do know this. It's the only one that Saskatchewan quarterback Kent Austin has played in, but I suspect you'd have to play in a whole lot more before you'd relive that level of excitement.
Well, I don't know if I'll ever have an opportunity to get back here again, and that experience was something I'll take with me for the rest of my life, as well as the other players on the team. And you know, when you get to this point in the season, you get a chance to play in a championship game, you want to come out champions.
Well, you're a Grey Cup champion for at least a few more hours until somebody takes over from you. Kent Austin, Saskatchewan quarterback, one of our game day analysts, along with Argo linebacker Don Moen, who's played in 3 Grey Cup games and has won one of them in 1983. And Don, well qualified you are to talk about the 1983. Looks pretty good. Kent Austin of the Saskatchewan Roughriders didn't bring his up from Nashville because those Saskatchewan rings are so big you need a sling on your arm to wear them, don't you?
Well, it's a little too valuable for me to be wearing around on road trips, so I just kept it at home.
All right, we look forward to additional comments from you two throughout countdown on the telecast of the game. Right now, let's retrace the paths of the 1990 finalists to this Grey Cup game, the 78th edition. How did the Bombers and the Eskimos get here?
The season was 2/3 complete, and the Eskimos, with a record of 9-3, looked like they were on a fast track to the Grey Cup. Tracy Ham was in fine form, and the Eskimos were firing on all cylinders. Then they met the Bombers at Commonwealth Stadium. Winnipeg crushed the Eskimos 48-25. It was the start of a late-season skid, the like of which the modern-day Eskimos have never suffered. They lost 5 of their last 6 games. Everything from simple dissension to racism was suggested. There was unanimous agreement on one thing. The Eskimos had too much talent to play this way forever. And in the playoffs, they rolled over Saskatchewan in the West semifinal at snow-covered Commonwealth Stadium, and then Calgary, beating the Stampeders 43-23. Tracy Ham was back on top of his game, and as a result, the Eskimos are in today's Grey Cup game. Before the season began, most experts picked the Bombers to stall on the road to the Grey Cup, but their chances of going all the way improved with a surprisingly strong showing from running back Robert Mims and with the acquisition of quarterback Tom Burgess. He gave the Bombers instant experience at quarterback. Burgess was slow to round into form, but still the Bombers began the year with 5 straight wins. It was because of a very stingy defense. The Bomber defense is quite simply one of the best the CFL has ever seen. In a year highlighted by scoring explosions, the Bombers held the opposition to 20 points on a regular basis. Aside from a Labor Day massacre in Regina, there were few lows in the Winnipeg season. By mid-October, with 6 weeks to go to the Grey Cup, the Bombers had wrapped up first place in the East Division. They finished the season with the league's best record, 12-6, and then met Toronto in the East Final. The Argos acquitted themselves well, but once again, the Bomber defense was all too much. And on this day, the hero was kicker Trevor Kennard. With only seconds to go, he sent the Bombers to their second Grey Cup game in 3 years.
Well, I mentioned at the top of the show, Ron Lancaster's first Grey Cup was 30 years ago in this city. Your Ottawa Roughriders beat the Edmonton Eskimos by a score of 16-6. What do you remember about that game?
I didn't play very much.
Was it wet?
Oh, yeah.
It has been said that television dictates to sports. Everything from starting times to travel to the color of the uniforms. One of the most controversial issues is the instant replay. Before you say who cares about an instant replay in the CFL, watch this from last year. It happens every game. You've seen them, the controversial play. They are sometimes called, sometimes they go unnoticed. And players like Tony Champion will inevitably claim robbery. And head coaches go gray and waken latent ulcers. Now, you people at home, the television audience, you've got the benefit of this, the instant replay, the isolated look. Watch the screen indeed. People in the stadium can see the replay on the giant scoreboard. Is it a help or is it a hindrance? Former Ticat coach Al Bruno believes there's a place for instant replays to help football games become better officiated.
Well, I must say I've seen some bad calls. I've seen some good calls, both in the CFL and the NFL as well. I think in some cases, I think the instant replay would really be helpful.
All right, I mentioned the possibility of replays in the Canadian Football League. Let's involve you, our viewers, coast to coast this afternoon. There's the question. There are the numbers. It's 50 cents a call. I know we've only got a couple of seconds. Hold them up, will you please? A few seconds more. Go get a pen and paper. We'll bring them up again. But there is the question. Dial the first number for yes, the second number for no. 50 cents a call, and I'll tell you what, we're going to put in the first vote for Al Bruno. Al's watching. Al will save you the 50 cents, and we'll keep you up to date during the afternoon. Stay with us. Lots more to come today at our Countdown Show. It's been a record year for records in the Canadian Football League, and we'll talk expansion, possibly going to Montreal and Halifax. We'll return right after this.
The Eskimos graduated to the rank of champions in 1954. The beginning of 3 consecutive Grey Cup winners led by versatile Jackie Parker. The height of the Eskimos dynasty bridged the 70s and 80s, peaking in 1982 when Brian Kelly led the way for the 5th consecutive Grey Cup victory for Edmonton. And in their latest appearance in the Grey Cup game, Jerry Corrick provided the margin of victory at BC Place with the game winner in the final minute.
All right, we showed you our telephone poll question just a minute ago. If you've gone out and got a piece of paper and a pencil, let's show you the number and the question again. There it is. Don't forget, 50 cents per call, the number for yes, the number for no. When an important call is disputed, should CFL officials use a television replay to assist in their judgment? Still to come this afternoon live, the CFL Commissioner, Cal Murphy of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the owner of the Toronto Argonauts, Harry Ornest. Right now, here is our second segment of Head to Head with Ron Lancaster. We're going to talk about the pluses and minuses of 1990. No question, folks, there are some serious problems for this league, in particular in the crucial Southern Ontario market. There's also the question of the team going back to Montreal, maybe expansion into Halifax. I want to know just how much authority the commissioner has, or the general managers or the commissioner indeed running this league. Before dealing with those issues, let's go on the field where in the CFL it has been a record year for records. Records tumbled in the CFL regular season. 30 team or individual standards were either tied or better. Now, scoring was up by more than 7 points a game, led by the Toronto Argonauts, who collected 45 more points than Edmonton's former record, including 11 more touchdowns than previously scored in a single season. A key statistical factor would be interceptions, reflecting the difference between success and lack of same. Hamilton, which tied the turnover mark established by Saskatchewan and Calgary, would miss the playoffs. And at the opposite end of the spectrum, how about the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the best defensive record in the CFL, producing a record 48 interceptions, in particular against Hamilton and Toronto. Let's now take a look at the individual stars. How about Winnipeg's Rod Hill? He had the game of a lifetime against Hamilton, becoming the first player in CFL history to intercept 5 passes in one game. Last year's Grey Cup hero, Dave Ridgway, continued to add to his robo-kicker reputation, collecting a record 59 three-pointers, tying the single-season scoring record. Let's go to Edmonton. There, not only was Tracy Ham the first quarterback to lead his conference in rushing, but the Edmonton leader would top the 1,000-yard rushing mark for the second straight year. And as you look at that figure, remember, folks, he is a quarterback. Mike Clemens entered new dimensions as an all-purpose threat. The pinball went beyond the 3,000-yard barrier in rushing, receiving, and run-back yardage. And Thursday night here in Vancouver was named the league's outstanding player, more than 3,300 yards. Toronto wideout, his teammate Darrell K. Smith, equally impressive as the main receiving threat for Toronto. Smith, with a record 20 touchdown receptions, ties the league record for single-season touchdowns of any nature. And here on the West Coast, a natural wonder would carry on. Place kicker Louis Bisaglia brushing aside retirement plans to move past Dave Cutler into first place in all-time career points in the CFL. Bisaglia completed his year with the BC Lions 2,312 points. That is simply amazing. So yes, indeed, a record-smashing year on the field. But as you look at the fans, attendance is also a positive story. And right now, let's talk attendance. Edmonton's Commonwealth Stadium was the site of an impressive gathering in early September. The turnout of more than 57,000, the largest since 1982. With over 320,000 fans and 9 starts, the Eskimos had the league's highest attendance, up nearly 16%. Ottawa claimed honors for the greatest yearly increase, up nearly 25%, and that silenced doubts about reaching the break-even point in Ottawa.
Close to 23. I mean, we needed 20 to be able to make a profit. So far, we're making a profit, and considering we were the worst team in the league and the one who was going to go broke, we're doing quite well.
Close to 2 million fans passed through CFL turnstiles in 1990. That, folks, is a per-game average increase of slightly more than 1,000 now. The Southern Ontario region would produce the biggest disappointments. Hamilton, of course, hurt by strikes and lean economic times in the steel industry, had the smallest average attendance, but the real disaster area was Toronto. Despite the Sky Dome and the league's most explosive offense, the Argonauts had the greatest drop in attendance, 11.6%. Look at those empty seats, about 20,000 per game in the Sky Dome. Best solution? Well, it seems the best solution is to win over a whole new generation of fans. You know, I came out here for the Molson Indy. It rained all week. It was sunny race day. It's been raining all week. And look at this, blue skies on this Sunday afternoon over beautiful Vancouver on the west coast of British Columbia. Canadian Football League Commissioner Don Crump has joined me. We will talk about the status of the Canadian Football League in just a minute. We've just seen a record year for records. We've dealt with the attendance, both pro and con. What about expansion to Montreal and Halifax? With more on that, here is Scott Russell.
Brian, hope for the CFL's return to Montreal flickers on. A group headed by former Alouettes is doing market research to find out if the league can make a go of it in Canada's second largest city. The group is asking tough questions in a town where the CFL is an even tougher sell.
There was not enough interest in the Montreal Alouettes.
June of 1987, and Alouettes president Norm Kimball folds the team, shuts it down. Montreal's CFL entry had become unappreciated. In the end, the cavernous Big O was nearly empty. But in another era, the Owls were loved. In 1977, Peter Dallariva brought a Grey Cup to Montreal. Sonny Wade had done it in '70. The glory years belonged to Sam Etcheverry, Hal Patterson, and the Owls of the 50s and 60s. Downtown football at McGill University's Molson Stadium. Skip Eamon played for the Owls in the 70s. Now he's an engineer, an entrepreneur, a Montrealer who wants to bring CFL football back to his hometown. Eamon and other investors are plotting a return to Molson Stadium. But first, they're studying the market carefully.
If 25,000 people are interested in coming in the stands, then it's viable. There will be a team.
They seem to know what they're doing. They're experienced businessmen and know football. And, yeah, I have some faith in what they're doing. And hopefully we can see a team in Montreal in the short future.
Halifax, Atlantic Canada's largest city, a university football hotbed. An investment company called Landmark Atlantic is the driving force behind a maritime franchise for the CFL.
The Commissioner's office has, I think, categorically stated that there's very much a desire on behalf of the league to become truly a national league in Canada.
There isn't a suitable stadium yet. Still, Maritimers and CFL Commissioner Donald Crump cling to the idea of a league which embraces Canada coast to coast. There's nothing concrete yet, but for the CFL, the semantics are encouraging. As the country gets set to kick off Grey Cup 90, the talk is of an expanding league, not a shrinking one. Back to you, Brian.
All right, Scott Russell, thank you very much. The Commissioner, Donald Crump, joins me live in B.C. Is talk of expansion a pipe dream, or is there anything real to it?
Well, I don't think it's a pipe dream. There's a group in Montreal, and they're certainly interested. I don't think 91 is a possibility, but certainly 92, I think we're targeting it.
All right, what about the National Football League while we're talking about expansion? Your predecessors were assured by Pete Rozelle no way the NFL was ever coming to Toronto or Montreal as long as your league existed. You did not get that assurance from Paul Tagliabue, and he refused to appear on the show today, saying he didn't want to dampen the CFL's parade.
Well, I don't think that he has any authority to discuss where the NFL is going. There are 28 owners that are going to make that decision, but he did say that the thrust in the 90s anyways was going to be for expansion in the United States.
Speaking of the National Football League, let's be honest. Do you think there's a group in Toronto trying to sabotage the Canadian Football League? I mean, the guys that run the Sky Dome charge $300,000 to rent it for the Grey Cup and give it to Major League Baseball for $8,000.
Well, Brian, I'm not concerned about the price of the rental on it. I'm more concerned that we're treated the same way. And I have to find that out. But there was a group, I think, at one time that was interested in the National Football League. But I think after the exhibition game that they had in Montreal this year, when they sold 8,000 seats and gave away 20, I don't think that possibility exists now.
All right. You've done a good job. You brought some stability. It's been a good year, in particular in Toronto on the field. But as you saw there, more empty seats than seats that are full. You've been quoted as saying you're going to take over marketing the Argonauts.
No, I haven't been quoted saying I'm going to take over marketing. I said that with our offices in Toronto, we certainly can help the Argonauts what they're doing. And we have a marketing director and a marketing program. And we certainly are going that way because we do have some plans to help them.
Do those plans include bringing in Joanne Pollock? I mean, let's face it, she's done a great job, and the Argonauts are less than superb.
Brian, I'd love to have Joanne Pollock working for the league. I haven't talked to her at all about it, and I don't know whether she'd work with me, but I haven't talked to her about it.
All right, when you first, do you remember your news conference, you appeared with a whip. Now, I don't know if that's because you worked for Harold Ballard, but let me ask you. Are you running this league? And the reason I ask is the general managers seem to be doing what they want. Hugh Campbell doesn't bother to show up 48 hours before the Western final in Calgary. Today, I'm reading in the Vancouver Province that Cal Murphy is not going to open his dressing room to female reporters.
Well, I can't believe that you would believe what you read in the newspaper. But I said on my press conference on Wednesday morning that the dressing room is open. It's not an issue. It's a small dressing room. We had to find some arrangement, but it's not for the media.
All right, what about the Edmonton Eskimos? Flaunting the rules and not showing up in Calgary. What do you do to Campbell?
Well, I've tried to talk to all people, but it's been a busy week. I've talked to some of the people involved, and there's always two sides to a story. And if I have to discipline them, you know my style of discipline. I do it in public, but I do it rather dramatically to them. They'll feel that whip again. I've almost worn the whip out, Brian.
All right, the Eskimos will feel the whip. Listen, you have brought some stability to the league. I congratulate you for that. What about the television deal for next year? I'm hearing if you don't get it, Calgary and Ottawa could go belly up.
I haven't heard that quite that way, but television has to maximize the revenues that we can get. And in order to do that, we have to have an integrated package. It has to be in-stadium presence, on game day program. It has to have a merchandising aspect to it, and it has to be, you have to have more than one member as a part of a consortium to do that.
You're close to getting a contract?
I've got the ducks lined up. I think that after the Grey Cup game, we'll start the negotiations.
All right, get out the whip. Congratulations on a good first year. That is the Commissioner of the Canadian Football League, Don Crump. Stay with us. We will continue our countdown show live from under the dome here at BC Place in Vancouver. Coming up, we are going to take a look at some of the football players of the future, and then we will profile a very special member of the Edmonton Eskimos. Commissioner Crump, thank you. Thank you for your honesty. We'll be right back. 1 year from now, the Grey Cup game is going to be played in the city of Winnipeg. Murray Parker is a CBC weatherman in Winnipeg, standing by at Winnipeg Stadium. Murray, can you hear me?
Yeah, I sure can hear you just fine. Beautiful day here in Winnipeg. The sun just going down as the time comes up to about 4 o'clock here in Winnipeg.
All right, can you give us an update on the weather? I know Scott Oak wants to talk to you. The question everyone's asking is, why is the CFL going to Winnipeg next year?
Why not? First of all, we people that do TV weather hate to go out on a limb too far, but I'm going to go out on a limb. And 1 year from now, rather, it is going to be the hot spot in Canada right here in Winnipeg. I have looked through my records. The almanac is here. I've looked through the almanac. I've gone to the computers, as a matter of fact, and I have looked through all of this data, and I have not been able to find any sign of bad weather on a Grey Cup day had it been held here in Winnipeg. As a matter of fact, in 1983, it was only -3, and the year of the Fog Bowl, it was +5 or about 40 degrees here in Winnipeg. The weather's beautiful here in Winnipeg.
Well, Murray, Don Whitman and I know that you are, in fact, the Dean of Weathermen in Winnipeg, and you've never, ever been wrong. Your weather forecasts are always right on. Now, you got your facts, you got your figures, you got your long-range predictions, you got your almanacs, but hailing from Winnipeg, I suspect, Murray, we might just have to end up praying that it's warm at this time in 1991 in Winnipeg.
I don't think you have to pray at all. You know, we Winnipeggers, as you know, love to tell these horror stories just to scare the people in Vancouver and places like Toronto and to justify living somewhere else. As I said before, the weather here has been absolutely magnificent. I go once again to the computer readout here. The Mud Bowl back in 1950 in Toronto, the temperature here was absolutely... The Fog Bowl back in 1962, when it took 2 days to play the Grey Cup. Had it been here in Winnipeg, it would have been played in 1 day, and it would have been played outside in 5-degree temperature. What more could you ask for?
And might I say, Murray, it looks like a beautiful November day in Winnipeg. Thanks for your time.
You're welcome.
Okay, back to you, Brian.
All right, Scott, it looks sunny in Winnipeg. I was born in Winnipeg, folks. I am not convinced. Cal Murphy says it'll be perfect. He says it's the city to go to next year. I'll tell you one thing, festivities will be a very important part of Grey Cup week come 1991. Cal Murphy standing by with Wayne Parrish right now. Another head-to-head with Ron Lancaster. Right, Steve, as promised, the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Cal Murphy, joins me. Wayne Parrish, who is evidence, maybe not that all sportscasters, but that sports writers amount to something. You've been promoted from sports editor of the Toronto Sun to assistant to the president. Congratulations. Cal, what about this issue of women in the locker room? To Wayne and myself, it's not so much an issue of women in the room, but who's running the league, the general managers or the commissioner? What's the story today?
Well, we've never broken any rules, and as far as we're concerned, the locker room is open. We've always been accessible, and we've never kept anybody away from meeting the press. And so the issue is closed, and we don't have anything to say about it.
Wayne,
I think the concern of the Football Reporters of Canada, Brian, is that, and myself as a sports editor, is that a concern that potentially hiding behind the guise of the concern about the women's issue, that Cal or other general managers might try to restrict access of all media. If we're convinced that that's not going to be the case, and from what Cal has said and Don Crump has said prior to the game today, that won't be the case after the game today, we'll be okay with that. I'm concerned about the precedent if certain dressing rooms are closed and you have to go to another area to interview the players, but from what Cal has said, that's not going to be the case today, it seems.
All right,
well, let me say one thing.
All right.
There are teams in the National Football League that have interview areas. There are teams in the National Hockey League that have interview areas. And the idea of the locker room, the players have privileges as well. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to discuss it. The locker room will be open today, period.
All right, you two are going to stay here with us. We've got a lot more issues to discuss. Wayne Parrish and Cal Murphy. We're going to talk about the state of the Canadian Football League. I know there was a pretty good football game played yesterday, an excellent football game played at the Sky Dome in Toronto. The St. Mary's Huskies, although they didn't win, were quarterbacked by their outstanding leader, Chris Flynn. Chris Flynn, a 3-time Canadian College Player of the Year. A young Canadian youngster that, of course, for years has dreamed about playing in the Canadian Football League. It is not easy to play in the Canadian Football League if you're a Canadian. And right now, with a look at future players, once again, here's Steve Armitage.
The earliest steps in the pursuit of a vision are without waver. A joyful plunge into a realm framed with glory. The love of the game. So why not aim high, perhaps to the CFL? The exhilaration comes from competing, and even the borders of the NFL have allowed Canadians to cross over. Mimicking professional heroes moves from the sandlots to the university scene, where quarterbacks like Bob Torrance of Calgary and 3-time Canadian College Player of the Year Chris Flynn of St. Mary's bring back memories of a homebrew quarterback who excelled when given the chance with the Ottawa Roughriders.
I've seen both Flynn and Torrance play in Halifax at St. Mary's and out in Calgary with the Dinosaurs. Both of them are very intelligent and have that ability to go with the professional team, and if they can continue to develop what they have shown so far in their college football days, then they would have that opportunity maybe to be what everybody says another Russ Jackson.
Pro scouts scour the country for talent, but the search for a quarterback is conducted south of the border.
The fact that over 500 colleges have quarterbacks in the United States playing football in every fall, the numbers are just greater. And so that delimits the opportunities as far as numbers are concerned with the Canadian kids.
Success in college ball has not inflated Bob Torrance's CFL hopes.
Chris Flynn and I want to just make it because we're good enough and not because we're Canadian.
Chris Flynn, too, is guarded.
I can't be negative, and I'm just going to try my best, work hard, train all year long, and be successful as I can, and just hope that I'll be good enough, and it'll be as simple as that. If I'm good enough, I'll make it.
I don't think that I have seen a Canadian college quarterback who has all the abilities necessary to move in and be that first-string quarterback in professional football.
Ronnie Lancaster joins me. You want to elaborate on Russ Jackson's statement?
Yeah, what Russ said was that he didn't see a quarterback who could start in the league, but I know what he said, they must have time to develop. What I liked in the article was two things. Chris Flynn says he hopes he's good enough. Bob Torrance says he wants a chance. I don't care whether the kid's Canadian or American. He's not going to play if he doesn't have, one, the chance to do it, and two, the time to develop. I like the attitude of both of the young men. I'd love to see them both get a chance to be part of a team and develop into a starting quarterback. I'd love to see it. Whether they're good enough, that's another story. But all I ask is we don't give a job away. You know, he has to earn it, and that means you're good enough. That they get a chance, we let them go, and what Russ was saying, but they need development just as any quarterback does.
All right, just a couple of seconds. With so many kids playing soccer, do you see Canadian football players dwindling?
No, not really, because I don't think soccer will ever be the national sport, but I think football sure can.
No, but there's not a lot of high schools playing football now. They're dropping the programs.
Well, all it's coming down to is cost. I mean, the cost factor is heavy. I think the time is here now. It's going to be just like hockey from this standpoint. You're going to have to pay to play high school football because of the cost of the equipment and insurance is just out of sight.
All right, Ron, quickly, let's go back down to the field, and once again, here's Scott O.
Well, Brian, there may be no Canadian quarterbacks in the CFL, but there are lots of good Canadian players, and Argo linebacker Don Moen is one of them. Hey, you were a quarterback, weren't you, at one time?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, but a couple of days of practice in college, and they thought different about that.
That was the end of your quarterbacking career. Do you want to say something about the caliber of Canadian talent in the CFL?
I think it's outstanding. I think that the caliber that's coming out of the college programs in recent years has just been upgraded to such a high level that, you know, there's not a lot to compare between the American and Canadian players in this league, I think.
You've already identified Warren Hudson as a Canadian who could have a profound effect on the outcome of this game, but surely there are others, Don.
Yeah, there are. There's outstanding Canadians on both teams. I think if you look at the Edmonton Eskimos, you've got Blake Marshall coming out of the backfield, and you know, just an outstanding running back. And if you look at the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, you got outstanding Canadians in like a guy like Daryl Sampson. So, you know, there's going to be a number of key players in this game, and there's some outstanding Canadians. So watch those two guys; they're key.
Kent, while we're talking quarterbacks, as we were a moment ago, let's get a comment on Tom Burgess from you. Tom Burgess watched you play the entire Grey Cup game last year at the Sky Dome from his position on the sidelines. He's playing today, and you're not. Is there some irony in that?
Well, I don't know. I guess you could read into it that way. I remember after the Grey Cup there out in Toronto, I was walking with Tommy after the game. We caught a cab together back to the hotel, and he was saying, you know, Ken, it's really not the same unless you get to play at quarterback. And even though we won it, I want to quarterback a game in which I can win it and be involved in it more. And Tommy's got his wish this year, and I'm happy for him. I know he's excited about it.
And quickly, his game has changed completely, you say, from his days with Saskatchewan.
Yeah, it really has. Tommy was more of a big play kind of guy in Saskatchewan. And when he got frustrated, he tried to throw the ball downfield more. And he's changed completely around. I don't know if it's because of his coach or not, but he's more of a high-percentage passer, more ball control. His average game per pass is under 7 yards this year, probably the first time in his career.
All right, Don, Kent, thanks for your comments, and we'll, of course, hear a lot more from you. Back to you, Brian.
All right, Scott, as we talk about Canadians, Canadian players in the Canadian Football League, I think it is only appropriate we profile a very special Canadian with the Edmonton Eskimos.
At age 29, Michel Bourgeau is huge, 6'5", 275, an Edmonton defensive starter and deaf.
Forrest loses the football. The Eskimos have got him. Michel Bourgeau scoops up the loose ball.
The bilingual Montreal native discovered his hearing impairment at age 12.
In my case, I really never considered disability. I still participated, and I think I was able to make up for it with my personality. You know, teasing really never bothered me as a kid. Maybe it may have pushed me to do a little better in sports in order to be accepted. And it may have enabled me to heighten my reflexes where I have to depend more on my vision as opposed to my hearing. So I have somewhat better reflexes than a normal person, and it may have helped me on the football field.
Several other CFLers, including Calgary punter Brent Maddich, have hearing deficiencies, perhaps an advantage in noisy BC place. Playing on defense and not having to block out the crowd may actually work in Bourgeau's favor.
I will hear the crowd's noise, but it'll be kind of drowned out. And that's a plus for me because, you know, that's all I need is more energy spent trying to block out that noise, that crowd, and I think it will be an advantage because the crowd being so noisy, and I really won't miss anything as far as that. I just have to be more alert and really be on the ball.
The former Boise State star began his CFL career with Ottawa in '85 before joining Edmonton last season. Attending a Grey Cup game inspired Bourgeau to work hard for a chance for postseason play.
I went to the Ottawa Grey Cup in '88, and it was really frustrating to see other teams participate who we may have beaten or have come close to beating in the season. Really felt that we could do the job. Now I have a chance to do that. I'm real thankful to the Eskimos to have given me that chance. I participated as best I can last couple of years, and it certainly is an exciting feeling. I just hope we can top it off with a win on Sunday.
And Michel Bourgeau and the Eskimos practicing on the field behind me. About 1 hour to kickoff for the 1990 Grey Cup. Let's show you our phone poll again regarding instant replay. There is the question. There are the numbers. It is only 50 cents a call. Still to come this afternoon. We will talk live with the owner of the Toronto Argonauts, Harry Ornest. Cal Murphy and Wayne Parrish will return. You are watching CBC's coverage of Grey Cup 90. Up next, a special on injuries in Canadian football. This is CBC Sports, live from BC Place in Vancouver.
The city of Winnipeg has 9 Grey Cup victories, the first coming in 1935. It was in 1939 that a club nicknamed the Bombers would win the Cup for the first time. And in 1961, Kenny Blaine was Winnipeg's overtime hero. Both 80s trips to the Cup were successful.
Donegan looking into the end zone. It's deflected. Intercepted by Winnipeg's Michael Gray.
And there's Tom Burgess, the man Winnipeg fans hope will lead them to a Grey Cup here this afternoon. With me again is Cal Murphy, the general manager, Wayne Parrish of the Toronto Sun. Speaking of Grey Cups, how many rings do you have?
8.
All as what, coaches? No.
I got 6 as an assistant, 1 as head coach, and 1 as a GM.
All right.
Haven't lost 1 yet.
All right. Maybe you'll get number 9 here this afternoon. Wayne Parrish, what about the CFL in Southern Ontario? Your newspaper executives have been reported as trying to get a National Football League team. Do you think the CFL is being sabotaged in Southern Ontario, or maybe it is just fans don't care?
Any sabotage that's happening to the CFL in Southern Ontario has only been done by the CFL, Brian. I think not having the TV, the games on TV in that area for so long hurt. I think that in terms of you alluded to the Rudy Braddy, Doug Creighton, and Paul Godfrey, who announced in January of 1989 that they were pursuing an NFL franchise if and when the CFL ceased to exist in Toronto. I think that's still their position. There is interest in Toronto from the NFL. That interest, I suspect, is stronger with Paul Tagliabue than it was with Pete Rozelle at the helm. And at some point it may happen, but there's certainly if you look at the coverage that our paper has given to the Canadian Football League in the last 2 years, it's greater than it's ever been.
Wayne, do you think the Canadian Football League can succeed in Toronto and Hamilton?
Can it succeed in Toronto and Hamilton? Yeah. I haven't seen the signs in the last 5 years that it can. I'm not saying that it can't, and I don't mean to equivocate, but all of the signs I've seen have been the other way. I would be surprised, very frankly, Brian, if there is a CFL team in the Southern Ontario area in 8 to 10 years' time.
Cal Murphy, your reaction to that?
Well, I think there will be. I think that, I think the league went through some hard times there in the, when we lost the television contract. And as a result, I think the image was damaged. But I think right now the whole league is on an upswing, and I really believe that Don Trump is doing a heck of a job. And I think when we get that new television contract, and I think we'll get a good one, I think that we get the right kind of promotions to bring the kids back in, so we get a new generation in there. I think you'll see it. I think you'll see it flourish.
All right, interesting comments from Wayne Parrish. A lot of people agree with Parrish about the future of football in Southern Ontario. Harry Ornest is here. We'll talk with him in just a minute. Right now, let's go to another installment of Head to Head with Ron Lancaster as we count it down to Grey Cup 1990. To kick off 1990 Grey Cup, Winnipeg and Edmonton. Injuries are always a part of professional football, as we see in this special report.
The ebb and flow of pro football means injuries and recovery. There's the hit, the hurt, the rehab, the wondering. Football is a game of violent changes in momentum. And defensive players aren't immune. Even Defensive Player of the Year finalists like Stuart Hill can't hide the pain, can't mend broken bones. In the drive to a Grey Cup, even leaders like Jeff Braswell go down. The offense, of course, suffers the most. Winnipeg lost the services of deep threat James Murphy. And the Toronto Argos often had to make do without their main man. Matt Dunnigan, arguably the CFL's most dominating pivot, missed more than half the season with a succession of injuries, recoveries, and additional injuries, pain, frustration, helplessness. But in the end, the realization that it's all part of the breaks of the game.
I looked over at the bench when I was going down. I was just kind of shaking my head like, I can't believe this is happening again. And I didn't know, I was feeling a lot of emotions at that point, like, why me? Or I felt almost, you have a feeling of embarrassment. You know, it's the 4th time in 1 year of being injured. I think you play the game long enough, you'll experience a season like this.
A look at injuries in the Canadian Football League. We were talking off camera with Harry Ornest of the Toronto Argonauts. I know you want to answer Wayne Parrish. Wayne will's back. We'll do that in a minute. What about the report in the Globe and Mail by Marty York? The Argonauts could be for sale.
Brian, there's no credence to it.
Would you sell the Argonauts under any conditions?
Well, I don't know what the future will bring, but the club's not up for sale, and I'm not interested in selling. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bought the club. I didn't buy the club just to sell it.
All right, how are you going to improve your marketing? You had a good product in the field. You got so many empty seats. You going to hire Joanne Pollock?
We'd like to, and the league would like to hire Joanne because she's a marvelous publicist and ticket seller. We have some plans in conjunction with the league that we think will work out. You know, our problem, if that's what it is, if you can focus on one thing, Brian, is that our game starts too soon. We open before the baseball plays its all-star game, and if we could start in mid-August, it would make a big difference to our league.
All right, I don't think you're going to start in mid-August, but we'll keep you around. Wayne Parrish is back. You're not happy. Wayne feels the CFL will be out of business in Southern Ontario in 8 years. More about that in just a minute. Live coverage of the countdown to Grey Cup 1990 will continue on CBC from here at BC Place. The Gizmo is up next. earlier we went live to Winnipeg Stadium. It's cold in Winnipeg, about 19 below where the game will be played next year. It is considerably warmer than that this afternoon down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at Rosie Paymont's Sports Bar. Colleen Jones of CBC Halifax. Can you hear me? And good afternoon.
I can hear you, Brian. This is one of the toughest assignments I've ever had. Let me tell you, it was 75 degrees here in Fort Lauderdale and gorgeous. We're at the penalty box bar. Come on in, because there are a lot of Canadians here who just wouldn't dare think about missing their Canadian Grey Cup. No, sir. Now, they're cheering for all kinds of teams. Wally Snoiber here, he used to play for Calgary, but this time, believe it or not, somebody from Calgary actually cheering for Edmonton.
I hope my Calgary friends don't hear this. Please, I'm sorry. I don't mean it.
Oh, come on, it's not that bad. Now, these guys are so keen, they made T-shirts up. And Doug here tells me he has always had a party at his house back in Ontario.
The party's on today for 150 people, and I won't be there.
All right, you guys. Now, I want to know who's going to win. Is it going to be Winnipeg or Edmonton? In any event, we're going to be watching it down here in Fort Lauderdale at the penalty box, and we'll check in with you again at halftime. See you then.
All right, Colleen, excitement in a sports bar in Florida. Wayne Parrish is back with Harry Ornest. Wayne, there's not a lot of excitement for the CFL in Southern Ontario. Again, you figure there could not be a team in Toronto in 8 to 12 years, right?
I'd like to, I mean, I certainly hope there would be, Brian, but I don't feel there will be. I think you have to look at the attendance situation in Toronto. You have to look at the attendance situation in Hamilton. We've had two of the most wonderful marketing geniuses in the history of the league take over those two franchises over the last couple of years.
You're not calling Harry a marketing genius.
And if they can't increase the attendance, I'm not sure what's ahead, and I don't think it's good. Harry?
Well, we have increased attendance. You take 2 years ago, Hamilton didn't draw flies, and they are drawing 4 times. Last year...
4 flies?
4, no. Now, come on, Wayne. Wait a minute now. This club is in a cash flow, this league is in a cash flow position unlike it's been in the last 8 years. Every club had a cash flow this year except Hamilton, and I can speak from authority on that. And anytime you have profits and no debt service, the league's in very good shape. We're on an upward spiral that only requires one thing: dome stadiums in the western Canadian cities, so that we can open our schedule in mid-August and not be suffocated by baseball in midsummer.
Do you see that happening in the short term, Harry?
Yes, I see it happening before 1995.
I guess my biggest concern is when you go to an Eastern semifinal and there's 24,000 people in the Sky Dome, and it's very difficult to understand what you're saying, despite what you're saying about the cash flow situation, that people in Southern Ontario care about the CFL in a way they didn't several years ago.
Wayne, this game today and our television ratings this past year had more people watching our game live and on television than any time in history. And today's game will be watched live in the United States by hundreds of thousands and by millions in Canada. And I know of 2 things: people who come to the game and people who watch the game on television.
All right, I've got to cut you off. Thank you, Wayne Parrish, Vice President of the Toronto Sun, Assistant to the President. Harry Ornest, owner of the Toronto Argonauts. Let's show you our phone poll again very, very quickly regarding replays in the CFL. It's 50 cents a call. There you see the yes number. There you see the no number. Stay with us. We are live from under the dome here at BC Place in Vancouver on this Sunday afternoon. And our coverage of Grey Cup 1990 will continue. We're about 40 minutes away from kickoff with Don Whitman and Ronnie Lancaster.
I usually put my left sock on first, right sock next. And if I'm wearing a wristband, I like to put everything, I like to start from my left side of my body and put everything on first and then come to the right side. And hopefully I can get a CBC jacket this year. I know they're not orange no more, but I take a blue, and I bought a pair of blue slacks. That'll help me out a lot.
And BC Place Stadium starting to fill. Not sure if it will be a sellout this afternoon. They've reduced the price in tickets. Joanne Pollock, with her marketing wizardry, was brought out, and she is assuring us they will have 50,000 fans here this afternoon. Gizmo Williams is the little man with a permanent smile on his face. He is fearless on the field, and he is also fearless in life.
Watch out here.
Watching Henry Gizmo Williams go with the football is an enjoyable sight. He's the preeminent long ball threat, the home run hitter, the little guy with the knockout punch.
108 yards for the Gizmo.
His quick mind is never at a loss for words.
What? Can you call my limousine I had here?
The Memphis, Tennessee native has overcome some huge obstacles in his life, bigger even the Winnipeg opponent, Chris Walby. Gizmo carries a vitality with him which belies a difficult childhood, most of it without benefit of parents.
I just take life as it is, you know, one day at a time, and I'm the kind of guy that's always happy. Nothing that can really upset me except, you know, waking me up from my sleep. But other than that, I think that I just take one day at a time, and that's what I do about myself, and I don't try to depend on nobody else but me.
On the field, the Giz has been magic, finding the end zone, whether in the National Football League with the Eagles or acting as Grey Cup game breaker with another record return for a touchdown. But while Gizmo delivers excitement, he's battling a life of tragedy. 4 family members, including his mother, died of a muscle disease. His father perished in a fire. Another brother was shot.
I wouldn't say I'm a strong Christian and everything, but I do believe in God. But the most important thing, I always ask God that, you know, I can't live thinking about my brother, my sister, my mother and father. All I ask him to do now is just protect Henry Williams and lead me the right way. And, you know, I think about him a lot, but other than that, I just want to live my life.
Henry Williams now turns to his family of White Petra and son Henry Jr. to strengthen his future life. Gizmo's outside persona is the truth. He's a positive person, focused on getting the best out of life.
I like to live going forward, not backwards all the time. And that's one of the reasons I try to stay hyper and laugh and pumped up all the time. And I'm always doing silly things. It just, it's out of me, you know. I try not to be nobody else but me. And I just like going out, you know, whatever I can do to make a person happy. And that's what I do.
He is truly an amazing individual. As I look down on the field behind me, both the Bombers and the Eskimos, including Gizmo, have gone back to their dressing rooms. And right now, as we get ready to send it to our game crew for the 1990 Grey Cup, let's go back down to the field one more time. Here is Scott Oak and his 2 special guests.
All right, Brian, well, let's talk about Gizmo Williams for a sec. Our game day analysts know all about him because he's hurt you both in the past. Kent, he can make it really easy for an offense. If you're running his offense with a few big kick returns, you get good field position.
Well, if you're trying to play field position and get your offense in an opportunity to be in scoring position to score, and you punt the ball down, hopefully hoping on your defense to stop him, he can change field position in a blink of an eye and return the ball past midfield. So he gives your offense a chance to score with a lot more opportunities.
Don, 3 years ago in this very same building, the big run back began, I guess, about 20 yards behind us, and he mortally wounded the Argos in that Grey Cup final.
Yeah, I have first-hand experience in what a game breaker Gizmo can be. You know, we kicked a field goal, we missed by just a little bit, and he ended up running back 116 yards. And
Who missed the first tackle?
I think it was number 36, whoever he was for Toronto. But
some guy named Moan.
Yeah. But you lose a game by 3 points, you know, and that's what he can do for you.
All right, final thoughts then. I guess it's appropriate that we talk about specialty teams, which, you know, in the CFL can really turn things around. Is it safe to say the Eskimos have the edge, given they have the Giz, or is that a concession we shouldn't make?
I don't think so. I think Winnipeg has the edge. They have better cover teams. Edmonton obviously has better return people, but if you look at the games previous, Edmonton didn't hurt them in returns because Winnipeg's cover teams are so good. So defensively in the special teams, I think Winnipeg has the edge.
Don, who do you like on specialty teams?
I think that Edmonton has the upper hand. I think when you got a big play guy like Gizmo, that he's going to make something happen in a big game. He's done it in the past, and I expect him to do it today.
Quickly, Don Moan, a member of the defense, told me yesterday he thinks it's going to take 24 points to win this game. A lot of people say around the area of 30. What do you say, Kent?
Well, I think if the score gets in the 30s, Edmonton will win the ball game. If it stays in the 20s, Winnipeg will win.
All right. Thanks a lot for your comments from both of our game day analysts, Kent Austin of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Don Moan of the Argos. You'll be with me throughout the telecast of the game. And right now, let's go back to Brian.
All right, Scott, let's take a final look at our phone poll of the day regarding whether or not there should be instant replay. Overwhelmingly, you, the Canadian viewers, say yes, there should in the Canadian Football League. I know there's not the celebrating of Grey Cup week that there used to be. Maybe that's a good thing, but believe me, Canadian football is still a first-rate entertainment product, as we have some memories from 1990.
It's an uphill climb, but if you've got the time, you just keep climbing until you reach the top. And there'll be times when the world's not on your side. Somewhere tonight, there is a light that's burning for you. And you gotta believe this was meant to be. You gotta show the world just what you can do. If there's a stairway that you must climb, don't look behind. Take it one step at a time, 'cause there's a dream on the horizon, and you're running through the night. And if the sun isn't shining, you gotta carry your own light. There's a dream on the horizon, yeah, and you're running through the night. And if the sun isn't shining, you gotta carry your own light.
I love it. This is what it's all about. Yeah.